Have you ever witnessed someone grin while scheming your downfall? Not everyone who looks at you sees a person. Some see an opportunity, a pawn, a threat, and they've already made up their minds long before you ever said a word. You didn't notice it. You laughed with them, confided in them, trusted them. But behind the surface, behind the warmth and the praises, their thoughts were calculating, silent blades, waiting for your defenses to fail. Here's the terrible truth. People show their intentions long before they act. But they don't do it with words, they do it with patterns. With ideas that loop like static in the background. With choices so delicate they're virtually imperceptible. And the most risky part? You do it too. Your mind repeats actions, assumptions, and dark ideas, and you never even question them. You assume you're in charge. You're not. You're reacting, whirling, responding to old circuitry and unhealed hurts. This speech isn't about dominating others. It's about something considerably more deadly. It's about monitoring the darkness inside your own mind and learning to see the ideas before they ruin you. Welcome to the brink of your own mind. Thought loops, the invisible cage. Think about how often you replay the same fears. They'll leave me. I'm not good enough. I'll fail. No one understands me. You've said them 100 times in your head. Not because they're true, but because your mind believes they protect you. The brain prefers familiar pain to unfamiliar uncertainty. So instead of challenging these loops, you obey them. That's how victims are created, not by what happens to them, but by the patterns they follow afterward. Have you ever seen someone ruin a relationship before it even had a chance? That wasn't random. That was a thought pattern. It whispered, they'll hurt you. Sabotage it first. Observe. Don't judge. Just watch. The mind will reveal itself to those who are brave enough to look. And what you see might scare you. 2. Inner narrator, the voice that lies. There's a voice in your head right now. It's commenting, judging, repeating, planning, criticizing. And here's the most terrifying part. You think that voice is you. But have you ever wondered where that voice came from? Why it sounds like someone from your past? Why it echoes old arguments? That's not you thinking. That's conditioning. That's your inner narrator, a ghost made of memories and emotional bruises, masquerading as your identity. When that voice says, you're not enough, what it really means is, someone once convinced you of this and you never questioned it. Dark psychology teaches this brutal truth. The mind can become a prison guard and convince you that the cell is protection. You don't escape by shouting at the voice. You escape by observing it, noticing when it shows up, tracking its patterns, watching what triggers it. Because when you name the pattern, you weaken it. And when you separate your awareness from your thoughts, you become free. Thought is not equal to truth, the dangerous assumption. One of the deadliest psychological errors is assuming that just because you think something, it must be true. That she's cheating, that they're lying, that you're being watched, that no one cares. Once the mind believes, it seeks proof. And the mind always finds what it's looking for, even if it has to distort reality to get it. This is called confirmation bias, a hidden predator in your thinking. That's how paranoia starts. That's how jealousy turns toxic. That's how control becomes obsession. You believe the thought. You married it. You let it sit on the throne of your mind and command your emotions like a king. But what if the thought was wrong? Dark psychology demands something society fears: detachment. Not detachment from people, but from the automatic belief in your thoughts. You must question them, hunt them, study them, because many of them are not just wrong, they're destructive. You don't need to change your mind. You need to observe it. 4. Manipulators use your patterns against you. Now here's where it gets darker. The patterns you ignore in yourself. Manipulators see them clearly. They know what triggers you. They know how to mimic validation. They learn the rhythm of your reactions. And they slip into the spaces between your thoughts like parasites. If you crave approval, they give it until they own you. If you fear abandonment, they dangle love like a drug, then threaten to withdraw it. If you seek justice, they provoke your rage, then label you unstable. You see, manipulators don't need brute force. They just need to understand your thought patterns better than you do. That's how predators survive in the wild. Not by strength, by studying prey behavior. So if you want to stop being prey, you must become the predator of your own mind. You must hunt your triggers, set traps for your reactions, interrogate your assumptions. If you don't, someone else will. 5. Emotional hijacking. When thoughts turn violent. Ever lost control? Ever said something you regret, but meant in the moment? That's not weakness. That's called emotional hijacking. When a sudden surge of feeling overrides your rational mind and takes the wheel. Anger, jealousy, fear, even desire. In these moments, thought patterns become weapons. If your mind is used to rage, the smallest offense becomes war. If your mind is used to shame, the tiniest mistake becomes a death sentence. If your mind is used to revenge, a slight becomes a vendetta. This isn't random. This is programming, installed by years of repetition. And if you don't break the loop, you'll relive the same pain with different faces for the rest of your life. You must observe what hijacks you. Watch what thoughts escalate into obsession. Study the spark before it becomes a fire. Only the observer can disarm the bomb. 6. Rewriting thought patterns, the dark discipline. Now that you've observed, what do? You rewrite, but not with affirmations or daydreams. That's surface work. You must go deeper. You must recode your brain. Because your thoughts don't live in the air, they live in neural circuits. And what fires together wires together. Here's how you begin. Name the pattern, give it a title. The abandonment loop. The rage spiral. Naming makes it visible. Trace the trigger. What event sets it off? A look? A word? A tone? Study the start. Interrupt the loop. Do something completely opposite. If the pattern says explode, you go silent. If it says shrink, you expand. This breaks the wiring. Replace with precision. Create a new thought that is neutral, grounded, and deliberate. Not wishful, strategic. Rewriting doesn't happen overnight. It takes violence, the violence of discipline, of watching your own mind fall into the same traps and dragging it out every time. The mind is a beast. You either tame it or it tears you apart. 7. The power of the silent mind. Most people live in noise, thought after thought, loop after loop, like static echoing in a cave. But beneath the noise, there's silence. And in that silence, there's power. The goal is not to stop thinking. The goal is to observe the thoughts so completely that they lose their grip on you. And then, in that rare moment of stillness, something else appears. Clarity. Clarity is not the absence of problems. It's the absence of distortion. It's the moment you see your fear, your ego, your story without becoming them. It's the moment you watch a dark thought rise like a wave, and then let it crash without reacting. That's power. That's freedom. And most people will never find it. Here's the final twist. Even the observer must be observed. There is always a layer deeper, a motive behind the motive, a story beneath the story. The work of watching thought patterns is not a one-time task. It's a lifelong war against self-deception. But if you dare to look, if you learn to watch without judgment, if you build the discipline to track your mental loops like a hunter stalking prey, you won't just survive manipulation. You'll transcend it. You'll see through the lies, the performances, the emotional traps, and most importantly, you'll see through yourself. Because in the end, dark psychology isn't just about mastering others. It's about no longer being mastered by your own mind. Observe the patterns, break the loops, watch the thoughts, before they become your fate.